What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another 8x2 review. Today I'll be discussing my CZ Shadow 2. I'll give a quick overview of the weapon, discuss some of the specs that I find important, some of the things that I kind of have questions about, and maybe not necessarily dislikes, but just things that I kind of question. I will definitely talk about the likes because there's a lot of those, and I will finish up with just my overall impressions of the gun. So without further ado, let's get started. So just a heads up, I did safety check this weapon off camera. So about the Shadow 2, well, it's obviously the second rendition of the competition style pistols that CZ puts out that is based on the SP01 frame. Now, there are a lot of differences between the original SP01 Shadow and the current one. So as you can see right here, the beaver tail is extremely aggressive, and it's a lot deeper than the original one. So that basically means that your hand is sitting right under the slide. Oop, let's see if I can get that. There we go. Cool. So a couple other things that they did with this gun that makes it a lot different than the original Shadow is the slide serrations are extremely aggressive. So just for a point of reference, this is my Rami, and these are about the same slide serrations on the SP01 Shadow, and the slide serrations, as you can see on the Shadow 2, are a lot more aggressive, a lot more spaced out, which means that your hand is really, you're grabbing a lot when you're grabbing these slide serrations. So also you can see right here, you can see how the angle of the gun, the angle of the slide is tilted up, which I guess reduces some of the weight on the slide, because this gun is all steel, 100% steel. Obviously not necessarily the grips, but at least the frame and the slide is all steel. So, and I don't think it's important, but just to kind of mention it because I thought it was interesting. The Shadow, the original Shadow, had the CZ S75 SP01 Shadow. So as you can see here, they took that off, which I guess is just a way to rebrand the weapon and kind of move it away from being considered an SP01 variant. You see that a lot with cars. You know, a lot of performance cars have, you know, their performance cars are named something different than the, you know, the base model, you know, touring vehicles that they may seem to look like. So the grip checkering is a lot different as well. They went with a different style of grip texturing on the front and back. Hopefully that'll, I guess you can kind of see that on the front as well. And this is a lot different than the original Shadow, and it is extremely aggressive. I mean, very, very aggressive for me, which honestly I prefer, especially when shooting competition. You know, you want to have a gun that's very, you know, aggressive, and it's going to sit in your hands when you're running around shooting, you know, for obvious reasons. Now, I don't have any experience with the original Shadow, so I just kind of wanted to hit at the just some of the overall basic obvious things that I could see. Maybe one day I'll get a chance to shoot it and do a comparison, but for right now I just wanted to stick with the obvious things that I noticed. So some of the specs, I don't want to go too much into them, but obviously it's a double action, single action hammer fired pistol. And like I said, this is safety check, but just to verify, there it is. So the weapon is clear. It does operate in both double action and single action, and it has a cold hammer forged barrel that measures at 4.89 inches. And one thing that people notice about this gun, and it's kind of hard not to, but it is extremely heavy. It is for a whopping 46 ounces, which, if you think about it, when you're shooting competitions and, you know, everything like that, it works really well for keeping recoil at bay. I wouldn't say it has a massive effect, but a lot of the weight, which is thanks to this all steel slide, but especially up in here, it's extremely heavy on the front end, which helps keep that muzzle flip down a bit. The sights are competition style sights. They have the front fiber optic as well as a blacked out rear sight, which I love. I think these are some cool sights. If I can get them on all of my guns, I would. It's also adjustable for windage, so that's really cool as well. Now, one thing that makes this pistol really shine is this trigger. I mean, this trigger is phenomenal. From what I saw, I don't have an actual trigger gauge, but it's advertised at about 8.5 pounds for a double action trigger and 2.7 pounds for a single action, which is nuts. So let me show you guys sort of what this trigger looks like. So, I mean, that's just buttery smooth. And here's another cool thing too. Watch this reset. That's it. And then boom. Just phenomenal trigger on this gun. So, as far as things that I don't like, there really isn't anything that I dislike about this pistol. I mean, it shoots a lot more accurate than I do. The one question I would say I have with this gun is the fact that it's safety only. I would figure, especially if you're shooting competition, if you're shooting, let's say, USPSA production, when you start, the hammer has to be fully down. So I don't see why they just don't come out with a decocker model and allow you to just do it that way. Because when it comes to resetting the hammer after, before you begin, you have to ride that hammer manually and then let it go. So I don't see why there isn't a decocker model. Maybe there's an answer for it. I'll have to do a little bit more research on it. But I just found that to be, a little interesting. All right, so some things that I like about this gun. Well, like I already mentioned before, there really isn't many things I can say that I dislike about this gun. I mean, I do shoot it in competition in a USPSA production, and this gun shoots a lot better than I do. But one thing I just love about this gun is this trigger pull. I mean, it's just, if you ever take a gun like this out to the range and you have a chance to shoot it, you better have, multiple boxes of rounds, because you're just going to want to shoot it all day. I mean, it's so smooth, so flat shooting, and it's extremely ergonomic. I mean, one thing I thought was kind of cool is it actually comes with an extra safety. So what you get out of the box is this safety right here, where it's flat on both sides. But I actually switched this out for the competition safety, which gives a nice little spot for your thumb when shooting. Honestly, I'm probably going to end up going back to the safety. I just don't really see. I don't have a huge need for that competition style safety. I know a lot of people do like it, but for me, it just doesn't really. I don't get much use out of it. The extended magazine release is really neat too. I mean, I have fairly small thumbs, but I mean, I can hit this thing, in whatever position I want to. I mean, that magazine is definitely coming out. So those are just some things that I like about the pistol. So overall, what do I think about this gun? Well, if you haven't guessed it already, I think it's a fantastic weapon. But for a price tag of around $1,300 MSRP, you can get it a little cheaper than that. But for an MSRP of around $1,300, this gun isn't one you'd probably want to buy just to have it as a fun. I mean, maybe you do. I can't tell you what to do with your money, but for me, I use it for competition. I want to actually use it for what it's made for. It's a very niche sort of gun. But for anything else, I don't really see much of it. I mean, you can't carry it. I mean, then again, maybe you can. I personally wouldn't, but I mean, you can carry whatever you want, just depending on your state laws. It even comes with a very handy dandy rail if you want to throw some lights or lasers or anything like that on it. But overall, it's just a fantastic weapon. I love it. I can't wait to take it back out again. I can't wait to take it to my next competition. They actually canceled the competition today, so I wasn't able to make it to that one. But the next one I think is in November, and I'm going to definitely be joining that and getting some more use out of this gun, because it'll blow you away. If you never had a chance to shoot it yet, you should. You need to get a few rounds through this gun, because it'll blow you away. But if you have any questions, definitely let me know in the comments below. I appreciate you watching, and remember to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and follow me on Instagram at 8x2_official. I'll throw that in the comments as well. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.